A new Chinese military study outlines how PLA forces could target U.S. carrier strike groups operating up to 3,000 kilometers away, highlighting Beijing's focus on long-range naval warfare. Chinese researchers have published a scenario examining how coordinated missile attacks could penetrate America's layered carrier defense network in a future Pacific conflict. The study suggests even distant locations such as Guam may not be beyond reach, as China explores options for striking U.S. forces operating far from its coastline. Researchers describe a step-by-step approach aimed at weakening a carrier group's outer defenses before launching attacks against high-value naval targets. The proposed concept combines submarine-launched hypersonic missiles, stealth weapons, and coordinated missile swarms to overwhelm advanced U.S. defenses. Chinese military researchers have published a highly detailed battle scenario describing how their forces could attack U.S. aircraft carrier groups. The study examines how the People's Liberation Army's missile forces could target U.S. warships and carrier strike groups from as far as 3,000 kilometers away. This paper was published in Tactical Missile Technology, regarded as one of China's leading defense and missile technology journals. Analysts say it is highly unusual for such a detailed operational scenario to appear in a publicly available journal, suggesting that Beijing may be deliberately signaling its capabilities and strategic thinking to foreign militaries and observers. Overall, the publication offers a rare glimpse into how Chinese military thinking is evolving in the Pacific. A new Chinese study takes aim at the U.S. Navy's distributed maritime operations concept, exploring ways Beijing might blunt Washington's maritime advantages. Under DMO, American carriers are pushed farther from Chinese shores while escort ships and combat units disperse across a much wider area to complicate enemy targeting. The paper suggests Aegis-equipped destroyers could be stationed as far as 600 to 800 kilometers ahead of the carrier strike group, creating a forward defensive screen. Those forward ships, the study says, would rely on SM-3 interceptors and layered missile defenses to try to intercept incoming ballistic threats well before they reach the carrier. At the same time, the carrier would depend on a combination of specialized air defense escorts, fighter combat air patrols, and airborne early warning assets to preserve its strike capability. Chinese analysts conclude that dispersal and forward screening make U.S. forces far harder to hit at once, but they caution this posture does not render them immune to sophisticated anti-access and strike systems. The plan calls for a layered strike combining inexpensive decoy drones, low-cost subsonic cruise missiles, and high-speed hypersonic weapons to stress U.S. defenses. Cheap decoys would be launched in large numbers to clutter radar screens and force the U.S. to expend precious interceptor missiles. Stealthy subsonic cruise missiles would then try to slip through gaps in the defensive screen and strike less protected nodes. Hypersonic weapons would follow, directed at remaining high-value naval targets that survive the first waves. Researchers say the entire attack would be timed to come from multiple directions at once, complicating tracking and interception. The objective, the paper warns, would be to overwhelm even advanced Aegis air defense systems and create windows of vulnerability. Analysts note the study appears amid intensifying U.S.-China strategic competition across the Indo-Pacific, underscoring rising risks for regional naval confrontations. China's nuclear-powered submarine formation was photographed amid rising tensions over Taiwan, a visible show of undersea strength that analysts say underscores Beijing's intent to project strategic deterrence as regional stakes climb. The latest grouping of Chinese nuclear submarines was showcased widely on social media, where enthusiasts and security observers circulated footage and imagery that quickly fed debate about Beijing's growing undersea posture. Observers counted a formation that reportedly included 4 Type 094A ballistic missile submarines alongside 5 Type 093B attack submarines, a mix that pairs strategic strike platforms with advanced hunter-killer boats to increase operational flexibility. Military Watch magazine provided much of the initial public detail about the submarines, citing open-source imagery and expert commentary to build a picture of the units involved and their likely tactical employment. China now operates 3 major shipyards producing nuclear-powered submarines, a manufacturing footprint that analysts say marks a significant expansion of its naval industrial base and allows for higher sustained output. New facilities contributing to that capacity include the Huachang Shipbuilding Industry Group and Shanghai's Jiangnan Shipyard, additions that have boosted construction throughput and the scale of Beijing's undersea buildup. Defense analysts estimate these shipyard additions have effectively tripled China's submarine production capacity, a figure that highlights how quickly Beijing has moved from limited prototype construction to mass production of operational platforms. China's original submarine yard in Haludio has also been expanded and modernized to support the higher output, enabling the Navy to manage multiple construction lines and to accelerate the delivery of new hulls into service. The Type 093 and Type 094 classes reflect a decisive technological leap over earlier variants, with improvements in quieting, sensors, and weapons integration that have transformed them from experimental demonstrators into fully operational components of China's maritime deterrent. Earlier generations of Chinese submarines were largely treated as experimental platforms, whereas today's fleet demonstrates sustained operational capability and doctrinal maturation that materially alters regional undersea competition. Estimates suggest the People's Liberation Army Navy now operates roughly 32 nuclear-powered submarines, a fleet size that reflects rapid expansion and an undersea modernization drive intended to extend China's reach and deterrent posture. That submarine total places China second globally in nuclear-powered submarine numbers, behind the United States and ahead of Russia, a shift that analysts say recalibrates naval balance and complicates strategic calculations for other major powers. A major driver of China's undersea expansion has been the mass production of the Type 093B attack submarine, a class whose improved quieting, sensors, and weapons integration have made it a workhorse for extended patrols and anti-access operations.